All right, 60 seconds and we're rolling. 60 seconds. Thirty seconds. Ten seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're off. Good morning, everybody, and an official welcome to a new phase of training. We're in the technical phase, and I'm excited about that because it gives us the opportunity to start from the ground up. I always feel like by the time we get to the end of the season, we've asked a lot of our bodies, often for a very, very long time. If you think about somebody who's maybe been racing and incorporating hard intervals since Oceanside, that was back in early April. So April, May, June, July, August, September, October, nearly 7 months is a long time to just overall stay on the gas. Obviously, we have athletes racing all around the world through that time frame, so we make sure that the training is designed to get everybody to the races, race ready. But now we have a really nice long runway to back things down, power backs down, overall effort backs down, and we can return that focus to the technical aspects of cycling that we're going to carry in to the foundation phase. When it comes to the bike, technical and foundation strength, it all mixes together a little bit. It's not quite as defined as it is in the pool. So we kind of take a little breather, take the month of November to really back power down. And then after that, you'll start to see power numbers tick up a little bit again. But with that in mind, it's going to be a little while till we are back to doing full threshold work. And the reason for that is twofold. One, you've done a ton of it since Oceanside, all the way up to about a week ago. And number two, it's so that we can take all that energy that was focused on putting out the power and executing the workout and turn that focus to really honing in on the pedal stroke, to making these neurological developments that will improve pedaling efficiency, and put the energy towards that, and maybe put the energy a little bit more towards us, focus on your swim in this technical phase so that you're not constantly fatigued. Swimming is one of I think the kind of the key of the three sports that make up triathlon. If you are neurologically fatigued when you get in the pool, it is really, really difficult to make improvements, to ingrain good form. So the way these bike workouts will leave you fresher, that will continue to have a positive impact, not only on the bike, but on the swim and the run as well during this phase of training. So with that in mind, you'll see nice extended warm-up. We have no need to rush anything. We're going to have 10 minutes overall of just a nice build through zone 2. We started out those first 2 minutes at 45%. We'll build up to 70% effort. Right now, we're just at about 55%. So nice extended warm-up. And then we're going to do some single leg drills before we get into our main set today. We will do a little bit of a ramping warm-up, very quick 5-minute zone 3 ramp, but even that, we're keeping a cap of 85% effort on. So we're not even, today at least, pushing up into that 87, 89, 90% range of zone 3. We're just still giving the body a tiny bit of it to warm up, to wake up, but nothing hard. This is a workout where you're going to cruise through, honestly, and finish feeling like, did I do enough work? Like we did, I need to be pushing, I need to be going harder. And the answer is no, you don't need to right now. This is an opportunity. We're in the beginning of November to layer on every training stimulus piece by piece by piece. So we don't have to rush anything today or this month or in the next 8 weeks even. We just get to take little tiny baby steps, and that's kind of the key to this phase of training. All right, so key component for today, since we have some time to talk through it, is, you guessed it, cadence. Many of you have done, there's guidance coming up on the screen that I've put in there, just because it's kind of nice to have that in addition to me talking. But cadence is really the key component. And this isn't an opportunity only to ease into things from an effort perspective wise or percentage effort, but it's an opportunity to really hone in on what cadence you can sustain for this type of low cadence work. When you saw it last year, we were at a phase where we needed that effort to be up already at, say, 80%, progressing to 85%, when I was asking you to do the 4-minute reps at an extremely low cadence, functional strength work on the bike. At this point in the year, the very beginning, we don't have to rush anything. Our effort today for the 3 minutes of low cadence is going to be down at 70%. So still zone 2, a very doable effort that's going to allow you to focus on pedal stroke, focus on technique. And if you think about it, yes, we're doing low cadence, so it's strength work. When you go into the gym, if you've never done real gym work, or if you've had a break from it, because we haven't done a ton of this work during the meat of the season, we've done maintenance. You're not going to go into the gym, put on near your max, 3-rep squat weight and go at it. Maybe you're going to, if you've had a big break or an off season, you're going to go in, you're going to have some lighter weight, and you're going to prepare the body by ingraining proper movement patterns so that everything is firing, everything is robust when it does come time to layer on more weight. In this case, weight takes the form of power. So we're layering on proper movement patterns at a nice low power where you can really put all your mental energy on that aspect of this ride. With that in mind, the guidance that will pop up on screen will say 40 to 50 RPM. That is an aspirational goal. If you have no body issues, if you're really comfortable with low cadence work, if you want to challenge yourself a little bit and you know that there are no body issues that pop up for you at low cadence, 40 to 50 RPMs is the range for the 3-minute blocks of work. If that seems a little bit too low, it's intimidating, or if there are any body issues, then you begin in the 50 to 60 RPM range. There's no need to force it. You can try out 50 to 60 RPM today. If it feels good, the next time we do this, you can bring it a little bit lower. So 50 to 60 RPM is where you would go if you know there are any lower back, knee, hip, any type of issues that flare up with low cadence work. Obviously, this is very personal. So the kind of final portion is saying, okay, you can settle into 60 to 70 RPM if you just know that the body is very resistant to the lower cadence work. You go to 60 to 70 RPM. So 40 to 50 if there are no issues, if you feel good, if you love and are comfortable with low cadence work. 50 to 60 RPM if you're a little bit unsure, you might have issues that could flare up, but nothing acute. And 60 to 70 if you know, hey, this type of work tends to aggravate things, we'll start at 60 to 70 RPM. The key here is over time, even if you start at 60 to 70 RPM today, it's likely you'll be able to work down through the season to 50 to 60 RPM. A lot of the time, it's not the cadence, because especially at lower powers, the actual torque demands on the body, it's not crazy, especially in the 50 to 60 RPM range. But the problem is that people will start at too high of a power. So 70%, nice light power. It's going to allow you to focus on finding what cadence is going to work best for you. So in just over a minute, we're going to start some drills. We're going to do our 1-leg drills. Power is very, very low. We're going to start with the left leg only. So I think, yeah, we're going to start with left leg only. So we have on here. So you'll want to unclip, give you the cue 5-6 seconds before the drill actually starts, because we go right from this 70% zone 2 effort into the single leg drills. So you'll unclip the right leg, pedal only with the left leg, power is down very low at 45% for those. And that will kick off this technical phase of training. All right. So in about 20 seconds, with 10 seconds to go, unclip that right leg and just start to get ready for that effort. Maybe 5 seconds. You don't have to pedal with this power one-legged, but just prepare for it. All right, so unclip that right leg right about now. 2, 1, and left leg only. All right, we're pedaling single leg, left leg only. Light power, it's down at 45%. You can adjust that downwards further if you'd like to. The key here is solely focusing on that pedal stroke. We don't want any amount of power load that's going to force you to move unnecessarily or strain anything. In 5 seconds, you clip in again, you pedal with both legs for 30 seconds. All right, you can clip both legs back in, 30 seconds here. So when power goes up a little bit, it's both legs. In 20 seconds, we're going to switch to the right leg. So we're running through two reps on each leg here. The point of the power being so low is so that we can get the neurological benefits. The point of these drills is solely that. We're not working on power. We're working on pedaling efficiency, pedal stroke efficiency. All right, so go ahead right now, unclip that left leg, and we're pedaling right leg only right now. 30 seconds, right leg only. I've never seen anybody take Doug's approach. That's a unique one. I think. All right. A few more seconds here, nice and easy. All right, both legs again, clip in both legs. You get the pattern. We're obviously going to go back to the left leg on the next single leg portion. Again, these during this warm-up, during these single leg drills, you can do them, especially this is day 1. You can do them wherever you want to on the bike. Obviously, they become more challenging when you endeavor to do them in the arrow position, but go ahead, unclip that right leg, and we're pedaling left leg only right now. Single leg, left leg only. Like I said, day 1, do them wherever it's comfortable on the bike. Over time, if you practice it little by little, you will be able to do these in the arrow position, and it's a totally different level of engagement, but no need to force that today. And we're back to pedaling 2 legs, both legs in. All right, right leg only to finish it off. Let's go, unclip that left leg, right leg only here. Zwift has been occasionally the littlest bit wonky since we've turned the rides private, and this is one of those. It seems to have cut out one set of our final 30-second recovery period. So while you're pedaling right leg only right now, I'm going to have you clip back in with about 5 seconds left, because we go from this straight into our zone 3 round. So you can clip back in right now. All right. That power is going to be a little, it did give us our 30 seconds. I was wrong, but either way, both legs in, you're all good. On the screen, what Zwift has displayed on my end has been overall correct, but since we've turned the rides private, there's been an occasional hiccup programming in our on-screen guidance, but also the workouts. Thankfully, everything looks good. So in 5 seconds, both legs have already been in. We're going to start our zone 3 ramp right now. All right. So it's 80% effort. We're going straight into it to take that kind of even sometimes awkward feel. We often think, okay, we're pedaling with one leg, so now we should pedal with both and it should feel super smooth. A lot of the gains are up here. It's not like we pedal single-legged and all of a sudden we're perfect at pedaling with both legs. But basically, we're just stimulating that neurological side a bit and carrying it right into some load. So we did the nice single leg drill, and now we're at a nice zone 3 ramp. We go 80% for 2 minutes, 83% for 2 minutes, 85% for the final minute. Again, nothing hard. Use this now that we're in this portion of the workout. You can do the majority of the workout. It actually asks you to be, if you're on your race bike, in the aero position. So from here on out, single leg drills were the exception. As much of this workout as you can do in the aero position, the better. The more of it you can do, the better. Believe it or not, this zone 3 ramp, this will be the hardest physical output of the workout. All that other work we're doing, it's down at 70%. The stimulus comes in the form of cadence. So this is actually the hardest portion. And again, I know that for most, I think on the coaches call, I meant to put in a couple of links, but I don't have my chat open. I'd send them through here, but next coaches call, or we'll include them on the Tuesday email. It's really interesting. I mean, it's been out there for a long time, but everything that's out there around cortisol and how the body recovers, right? And you hear me talk about that a lot. I harp on it over and over and over. And as you'll see, because power just ticked up a tiny bit, 83%, O'Driscoll is going to have to come up with a new name, because it's not Throw Up Thursdays anymore. Coach Chris, it's going to be something else for a while. But I'm the first person, or both myself and Jim will always ask you to put in the hard yards when it's necessary, to put the power up, to do the VO2 work, to push yourself to recover at 90% effort. There's a time and a place for that. But now we're kind of asking you to pivot that a bit and really embrace this technical phase into the foundation phase of training. So you're not going to get that same endorphin rush of, I just have to push, I have to go hard. And the thing is, there's actually a lot of science out there on that. We become chemically dependent on that, right? We might not think of ourselves that way, but we become dependent on like constant cortisol in our body. We might think, oh, no, we're very relaxed and peaceful people, but you become addicted to that cortisol release that comes from hard training. And then obviously, like a drug, you have to sustain that in order to feel that way. So if you go through a few weeks on the bike, a couple weeks on the bike, and you have a little bit of a withdrawal and you're like, no, there's no way this is going to make me better. Just trust in the process. I promise you, this is the path forward. This will help you improve, and this will help you perform even better as we approach the 2024 season, when it comes time to do that VO2 work, that threshold work, all of the hard stuff. But this is the type of work we need to do at this time of the year in order to set ourselves up for it. So as we love to say, trust in the process. You have to fall in love with the process of training here to make this sustainable. So another 10 seconds, then we back off. Another 10 seconds, then we ramp up for the minute, then we back off. All right, final minute here. Up at just 85% effort, nice and smooth. Cadence is your choice, nice and comfy. That will be a common theme in that sometimes some of the power demands in the warm-up will be higher than in our main set, just to kind of prime the body and use it as an opportunity to give ourselves a tiny bit of, mid-range zone 3 exposure. But another 15 seconds and then a nice extended 4-minute recovery period. All right. 2, 1, and we back that effort down. Nice and easy. 4 minutes here. So again, just because we're going easy, especially with lower cadence work in mind, it doesn't mean that we don't fuel, right? This doesn't mean this is not a session. This is not a recovery ride where we are just going to completely say, forget fueling, let's throw all that out the window, I can get through this hour. We are asking our body to work hard. We are putting the muscles under a very high torque demand. We are putting out enough effort that fueling is important. Now, if you think about fueling like a race car, if you think about a sport like Formula One, they're not looking to finish the race with an insane amount of extra fuel on board, right? It's extra weight. The way we can think about fueling during this time of the year on the bike is we want to be putting fuel in. We do not want to be trying to doing sessions like this or, following a fad, like putting ourselves in ketosis through a session like this. Every individual is unique, and that would be something with your one-on-one coach to discuss. Point is, fuel away. We don't have to fuel a session like this in the same way we would VO2 work or really high threshold work, but do make sure that you're putting something in. This isn't a time to just wake up and say, I'll have some water and get through this 60-minute session because power is down at 70%. You're still asking a lot of the muscles from that low cadence demand. So food for thought there. One of the final components of today's workout, or how we're changing it up a little, or you'll see this on some of our low cadence work, is with the high cadence recovery. There are some theories that you've often seen us finish low cadence work with a little bit of a high cadence drill at the end of it. The reason for that is in the weight room, there's some data showing that like heavy lifting constricts capillaries and everything a little bit, and that high cadence, this type of work, opens them back up. So mixing this lower cadence work, which is like being in the weight room, with the high cadence is kind of a nice combo. There's no real downside to it, and it prepares you neurologically, again, for the power shifts that we practice later in the year. When you've had sessions like you've seen where maybe 80% or 85%, and then it's like, boom, we go to 100, 110%. We have these big gear changes, big power changes. That's what these cadence changes are prepping you for. So the pattern that we're running through today is 3 minutes of low cadence, SFR, as I like to call it. I think the 6x4 minutes was the first session I ever did with you guys this past January. So 6 minutes or 6 rounds of 3 minutes at low cadence. That's either 40 to 50 RPM, 50 to 60 RPM, or if there are any issues you're really worried about, 60 to 70 RPM. You go as low as you are comfortable with. It isn't the lower the better. It's you go as low as your body is going to allow. It will feel very weird to pedal at 40 to 50 RPM. We haven't done it for a while. Yes, power is low. It'll feel awkward. It's supposed to feel awkward. It never really feels all that much better, but you can keep the RPMs a little bit more towards 50 if you'd like, and it'll feel a little bit better than being down at 40. So keep that in mind. We'll start it. Power is going to be low, and then I'll tell you about the high cadence we're doing right after it. These efforts are to be done mostly seated. Doug Flynn, you're about to see the devil after this 3 minutes. 2, 1, and let's bring that cadence down. All right, slow it down, slow it down, slow it down till we are pedaling through molasses. The first rounds of these, we had a period of time where we're doing a little more of these. We've been in the proper race ready phase. We've been racing. This feels very awkward. That's just the way it is. But again, you don't have to be at 40. You can be at the upper end. You can be at 48, 49, 50 RPM. You find your sweet spot. You guys, by this point, understand the intent of this work. The part I haven't talked about a lot, because we'll talk through it right now, is body position. If you are on your race bike, I really, really want you to try to do these in the aero position, starting at a nice 70% effort. So it's not, we're not pushing 85. We're not giving you a demand where you're saying, I have to come out of here. So challenge yourself by staying in the aero position, keeping that body stable, and pushing that cadence as low as you are comfortable with. I say comfortable in the sense that we don't want to create any body issues. There's discomfort from just being at a very low cadence. If you are on the road bike, we're going to alternate positions each rep. So wherever you are right now, if you're on the hoods, if you're in the drops in the more aero position, we're going to alternate. So this rep, you stay wherever you are. The next rep, if you're in the drops, you go to the hoods. If you're on the hoods, you go to the drops. So we're going to alternate on the road bike. On our tri bike, we're in the aero position for every rep. Recovery periods are your choice. Key component here, after this 3 minutes, we do go into recovery, but it's not straight recovery yet. We go straight into 60 seconds and we're aiming to hit 100 RPM or above. So bring that cadence up all the way. If we're at something like 50 right now, we are literally doubling that cadence in 60 seconds here and trying to get above 100 RPM for that 1 minute. That 60 seconds is followed by a proper 90 seconds of recovery, where cadence is your choice. Power will drop down even more. One part of this high cadence that we're going to go into here in 40 seconds, power drops to 60%. So it's even lower than where we're at now because it's a purely neurological goal. We're not trying to put out more power. 60% is just a nice zone 2 effort, but there's going to be a dramatic change from where you're at right now to 100 plus RPM. So that is the goal in 20 seconds here. Big cadence change, just like we have big power changes later in the year. Here, we're doing it with cadence. So in 10 seconds, get ready for that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ramp that cadence up. Doesn't have to be over 2 seconds. You don't have to sprint, but bring that cadence up to 100 plus RPM and sit there for this 60 seconds. You'll see on Zwift, it says 110 because when you input a range of 100 to 120, Zwift always takes the midpoint. So challenge yourself to bring it up. Added layer of challenge is staying, if you're on your tri bike, staying in that aero position for this minute of high cadence as well. When we hit the 90 seconds of recovery, you can come out of that position. It's your choice. Nice work. Bring that cadence up. Bring it up. 15 seconds here. Three, 2, 1. And now here's your real recovery. So cadence, your choice. Body position, your choice. Everything your choice. So that pattern we just went through, that was round 1. We're going to do 5 more rounds of that exact pattern. You don't have to hit the next one at Doug Flynn seeing the devil today, if that's what high cadence is. So we're gonna revisit him routinely. There's a lot of value in what we can do neurologically through this time period. Think vertical kicking in the pool. I know Jerry touched on that, but I know that there's real value to when vertical kicking is also quite challenging physically, not just neurologically. But when you think of that type of transition, when you go from vertical kicking into swimming in the pool, a lot of times you feel like, oh, there's the tautness, there's the alignment, right, that we're looking for in the water. And this is the time of year, these drills, if you will, it's our opportunity to focus on it here on the bike. So another 20 seconds, and then we're back into it. You know the pattern now. 3 minutes, low cadence, settle in. It's not the power demand that's challenging here. It's staying present. Remember, if you're on your tri bike, you're back in that aero position. Let's start bringing that cadence down right now. We're into it. And if you're on your road bike, whatever position you did the last one in, if you were on the hoods, if you were in the drops, switch. Just alternate each rep, alternate hand position on the road bike. The reason we're doing that is on the road bike, we're looking to engage the muscles a bit differently, and you do that naturally by changing positions. On the tri bike, it's typically easier to do it out of the aero position. So we're asking you to do it in the aero position while the power is nice and low at 70%. It's these details. It's doing these reps in that position. It's building, once again, why do we call it functional strength? Well, because you're on a bike, you are pedaling. This literally translates to the road. This is not a hypothetical of what we hope lifting in a certain way will do for us. This is a very effective form of strength work. We're starting with lightweight, in this case, light power. So bring that challenge by staying in an aero position, because if you do this here from this point in the season, it's going to continue as we layer on more power, as we layer on different intensities and intervals. This is going to be very valuable. This is where you set the tone for the entire season. I think if Kathy keeps yawning, we're all going to need a cup of coffee, but it'll be okay. It looked like she was yawning. I don't know. So while you're working through this slow cadence, you want to think about those focal points. You guys were already good at it last year, up at 80% or 85% effort or higher effort. This is an opportunity to improve even more when it comes to upper body stability, head position, everything being relaxed. We don't want to be forcing this power. We want to just layer it on little by little. So when we start down at 70%, we can really make sure that everything is dialed in. We don't want to just be down at 45 RPM or 55 RPM, jerking and pushing like this, right? We want to be as still as possible when it comes to the upper body. And again, that's individual. Everybody's going to have some level of movement. I have a level of movement at low cadence. Nobody is perfectly still, but it's about being as still as possible in that upper body, legs just firing, everything stable, core engaged. If we were to video you, you'd hardly know that you were on a bike, which is the case on Zoom. We're seeing that upper body and everybody looks nice and stable. That's what we're going for. In 5 seconds, we transition, ramp that cadence up. And here we go. Bring that cadence up, trying to get above 100 RPM, big gear change. In most cases, for most of you, it'll be doubling that cadence to hit 100 RPM. So really push to do that. Get up there within the first 15 to 20 seconds of this minute, and then hold it there for the remainder. Nice work. Okay, he's getting ready for his swim coming up, or he's flying, one of the two, I don't know, but always love Zoom. Everything going on. Doug's resting his leg during high cadence, John's flying, but everybody's nailing this, so good work. A few more seconds here. And proper recovery. Nice work. So that's our pattern. That's 2 rounds of this. You're going to hone in on each round as to where your preferred cadence is, right? With high cadence, we're trying to hit 100 plus RPM. With the lower cadence work, you can play around with it. If you tried 45 and you're thinking, you know what, it might be a little much. I don't know how that's going to feel tomorrow or later in the day. You can bring it up a little bit. You can do this rep at 50. Conversely, if you were up at 60 RPM and your body feels good and you're thinking, maybe I can push a little bit lower, maybe I can challenge myself a little more that way, bring it a little bit lower. This is the time of year, this is a session, these 6 rounds of this work where you can adjust, right? The goal of today is to get a really good feel for where you are comfortable with low cadence work, what your preferred RPM range is, so that as we progress this, as we layer on power, that you can stick with it. But today you can play around within that range. All right, another 15 seconds here. And then we are getting in to our low cadence once again, round 3. All right, here we go. Just bring that cadence down. Same as the low cadence, doesn't have to be just like stop pedaling, bring it down. Just slow it down, settle into it. If you're out on the road, we'd be heading up a hill, you'd be shifting a bit and bringing it down into that goal cadence range. We talk a lot about, or I talk a lot about, functional strength, right? And I think a solid program in the gym that's well designed, or at home gym, whatever works for you. But off the outside of sport strength program, I think there's a lot of value to it when it's well designed and very time efficient. I love incorporating this type of work, the functional strength on the bike, because the reality is a lot of times people don't stick to a proper strength program through the 12 months of the year. A lot of times sessions are missed because of timing. And a lot of times, I think Tower 26 does a great job with it, but when people don't have access to an efficient strength program, it makes it very hard to stick to. Last part is ultimately everything we are doing, any work you do in the gym, anything you're doing outside of swim, bike, run, the goal is to make your body more robust and make you better at swim, bike, run, unless you decide you're going to the weightlifting world championships. So this work that we do on the bike is 100% effective in making you not only stronger on the bike, but more robust for the run. Strength, we talk about it a lot. I think number one for the sport of Ironman, because you have to get off the bike and run, strength is the foundation of a solid Ironman performance. If you have this strength foundation, you can layer on endurance, you can layer on intensity. It's all very simple. Endurance comes through time, intensity comes through the higher end sessions, but strength is what takes the longest to build. We can't do it in 2 weeks. We can't even do it in a month. It takes seasons to really, really build deep strength. It takes going through this whole technical and foundation phase to prepare the body for the next season of racing. So keep that in mind as we go through it. And as you say, maybe O'Driscoll says that he starts to miss throw up Thursdays. They will return eventually, Chris, but not. We're going to give you a break. We're going to give your stomach a break as well. No Brian Massey throwing up on Zoom for many months. So that'll be good. 30 more seconds here. Remember, stable upper body. And it gives you the opportunity, the same as the single leg drill does when we're at this low cadence, to really find any weak spots in our pedal stroke. And it's not so much about fixing them today. It's just noting, okay, my right leg feels a little more awkward here. My left leg, the glute doesn't engage as much. We all have imbalances. Low cadence highlights those and just lets us pay attention to them a bit. So right about now, ramp that cadence up. No big power demand, but big cadence shift to 100 plus RPM again. Nice work here, bringing that cadence, 100 plus RPM, really making the effort to shift it. Thirty more seconds. Keep it high all the way to that last pedal stroke. And recover, back it down. Nice job. The beauty of this type of work is that a lot of times we do want to have focal points, right? We want to focus on our breathing pattern. We want to focus on that upper body stability. That's a big one. But if you focus on that upper body stability during the low cadence and into the high cadence work, a lot of your pedal stroke becoming smoother is a byproduct of that. If we keep the body stable at those lower RPMs, it forces us to become more efficient. It forces the lower body to become stronger. It forces a smooth pedal stroke, because if we're rocking everywhere, we're cheating the pedal stroke a bit, right? We're leveraging the upper body. We're pushing and forcing things down. if we're in that arrow position and our upper body's still, all that force just has to be driving up and down from the glutes through the quads, engaging the hamstrings. If the upper body's still, it's just a metronome, up and down, up and down. There's no extra upper body force that's helping cheat that lower cadence effort. So if you focus on keeping that upper body still, everything else will be a byproduct of it. Think about trying to impress each other. Whoever has the most still upper body is, the most impressive. It's not about power today. So think about that, and everybody can see you, including me. So a couple seconds, start to bring that cadence down. Here we go again, round 4. Slow that cadence down, whatever you've been doing. 40 to 50, 50 to 60, or even 60 to 70 if that's what you need. Byproduct of this session is, this might seem repetitive, might seem pretty easy. You have to bring the intention to it. But what I know a lot of you would kind of turn your nose up at was if I just put on one of our rides, despite it being social, okay, we're just gonna pedal in zone 2 for an hour and we're gonna talk with each other, right? If we were riding outside, that would be a very easy thing to do. Indoors, that can get a little bit monotonous. So a nice byproduct of the sessions this type of year is they also double as base sessions. Because if you look at this outside of our warm-up, we're spending most of our day in that 60 to 70% effort range with a little bit of recovery thrown in. So we're kind of getting a very nice overall with a lot more stimulus than just a plain zone 2 ride, a base type ride with a lot of added benefit from this lower cadence work. So just something to think about. I know it's probably the type of riding people like to do least. We often think we have less time, so we have to do more intensity, but that never works in the long term. So we just have to do the best we can with the time we have available. And that's what we're trying to do here. Instead of just saying ride an hour in zone 2, we're incorporating the cadence work. We're strengthening the muscles, the tendons, all the ligaments, everything to prepare to layer on that power as we get towards that foundation phase. All right, just under a minute here. Good job committing to this work. This is super simple. There's nothing complicated about it. You get a feel for it. And again, that challenge, you can create personal challenges within this work. Instead of the power, it's obviously that's not going to be the goal, but you might find that place on your pedal stroke where you say, you know what, my right leg, it just doesn't engage the same, or I'm tighter here, or I get pulled a little bit crooked on the bike. And these periods of lower cadence, these blocks of lower cadence work, it's the opportunity to focus on those little instabilities or imbalances and see if we can improve them a little bit. Ten more seconds here, and then that gear change. Really commit, make sure we get to 100 plus RPM here. 3, 2, 1. It should be easier. Power drops down even below what we were at. Totally fine if after these 3 minutes at low cadence, you need to stand up for a second, but try in that first 15, 20 seconds, really get that cadence up to 100 at least, if not above, and we settle in there for the minute. Nice job. All right, 10 more seconds here. Nice and smooth. 3, 2, 1, and we recover. Nice work. Same concept as the low cadence. It looks like most of you are making a proper effort in that regard, keeping the upper body still or as stable as possible, even when we go into the higher cadence work. I think it can often be more challenging at higher cadence than at lower cadence to keep that upper body still, just because there's obviously so much more movement. But there we go. Doug Flynn, you can share those numbers if you want. This is funny. This is a great you know, if we were riding outside or all in an actual room together right now, this would be the prime time for banter. But I think you guys like ribbing each other more when you're almost puking on VO2 efforts than when you're just working through this. I think the screen has been a little bit quieter, but this is certainly an opportune time to give each other endless crap and do all the wonderful things that riding as a group on a bike allows. So, you know, we don't get to do it as much in swimming because we're trying not to drown, all of us. But yeah. All right. So again, 20 seconds, same pattern, 2 more reps. You guys are doing great. All right, bring that cadence down, 2, 1, here we go. So with lower cadence, I'm always hesitant to say, hey, make a clear goal, because we never want to force things with the lower cadence. We don't want to create an injury. We don't want to create, you know, the same way you might have a weight goal in the gym, but you're not just going to say, let's jump right to there. But over time, you know, if you do today and you aren't in that 40 to 50 range, because you're a little concerned, if you get through it and you're at 60 RPM and you feel good tomorrow, there's no knock-on negative effects. It's not a bad idea to say, you know what, I'm going to challenge myself and go a little bit lower on the next session. So you can definitely have personal goals within these workouts. On the high cadence, that's another aspect, right? Like, yes, the goal is to crack 100 RPM, but just because you can do 100 doesn't mean you shouldn't aim over time to be able to be smooth at 105 or 108 or 110 RPM. And that is kind of a fun progression in the high cadence aspect, because it does take time, and it's a little bit, it does relate to neurological fatigue. So if you come into one of these workouts and you're really tired from the other training, it's going to be 100 RPM can feel like 110. But if you come in fresh, or just over time, 110 RPM, you might be just as smooth and feel just as natural there as you do at 100. Much like everything, training in general, the first time we run through it, the first time we do this session, this is day 1 of this, it's normal for even 100 RPM, might feel a little bit awkward. So just keep in mind, with time, you can progress that number upward. There are some athletes where you might be up at 115 RPM and feel fantastic. That's also a little bit individual, just like the low cadence. So again, rather than set number goals, they're personal goals within this work that you can have to be able to pedal a little bit higher cadence than whatever you're at now, and maybe over time to progress to a little bit lower cadence than you are now. And as we've talked about before with this low cadence work, it's easy to think, what does riding at 70% at 40 to 50 RPM have to do with threshold work or VO2 work? And it's all about muscular recruitment, right? We are recruiting obviously a much higher percentage of the muscle than if we are pedaling at this exact same power at your comfortable 80 to 90 RPM range. So that's the goal here, is we're preparing the muscles for that higher intensity work, while giving the body a period of time to not go into fight or flight mode, not have cortisol dump through the system, to recharge, to build muscle, and recharge mentally and physically. 10 more seconds here and we make that shift to high cadence. All right, here we go. Bring that cadence up, up, up. Nice work. Nice and smooth as we go through. Oftentimes it won't feel this way right after the lower cadence work, but all this stuff, this is, you know, you're working on the same skill set, the same tools, the higher cadence that allows us to really successfully execute VO2 work. The cadence is always going to be higher at higher intensity because it's going to be more efficient at higher intensity. So all these components we're starting to build right now at lower power. 3, 2, 1, and recover. The interesting thing with endurance sport training, right, especially triathlon, even within the sport of cycling or the individual sport of running or swimming, is that we're at a point in all those sports where a lot of the training methodologies, as far as, okay, how do we incorporate low cadence work? What powers? How do we periodize? How do we do this? Pretty much most of it is out there. There's individual nuance because everybody's body responds differently, but it's all out there. And certain techniques that have been around for 30, 40 years in training, they've been refined, they've been adjusted, but there's no secret, right? Why are we doing 6 rounds of this? Because that's the most effective way to get this workout done. Why do we do 10 100s in the pool? Because that is what needs to be done. So a lot of this is repetitive. And that's why earlier had a quote I really liked on screen, which is that you just have to embrace this process. You have to fall in love with the training. Thankfully, you guys with Tower 26 have an amazing community on hand. You're not doing this alone in your basement. You're doing this with 35 other people in your basement or your room of choice. So very different experience. Lean into that aspect of it. Send the messages. Enjoy the kind of camaraderie. In 3 seconds, bring that cadence down for one final round of this. All right, cadence down. This is round 6. This is it. You've worked your way nice and steady through this. And as Kathy said, yeah, that's the aspect of this type of training. When you get into these periods where it's very simple, the work is very simple, can feel monotonous. And obviously, if you're on your own, you'll put music on, you do something to get through it. But here, you're not like, you know what, forget it. I'm just going to do something harder because that feels more productive. Everybody on here is committed to this phase of training, is committed to this work. And I can tell you that for me, there were aspects of the technical phase in swimming that were very, very annoying, that I felt like, how is this going to make me faster in the pool? And Jerry knew that I didn't enjoy certain aspects of it. And he said, I don't care, just do them. This is going to work. This is what is necessary for you to improve. He was 100% correct. Those things that annoyed me or that I felt like, I'm better off just pushing all that whole technical phase. That's what allowed me to carry it all into faster swimming and improve. I could have hammered away at hard 50s or 100s or 200s till the cows come home, and I would not have gotten faster because I didn't have the technical ability in the pool to carry, kind of to maintain fast swimming. The technical phase helped me do that. On the bike, like I said, this all rolls together a little bit. It's not just technical. There is a strength aspect to it. Technical mixes with foundational. It's not as clear cut as the pool, but this type of work, the cadence work, the low cadence work. I can give you an example. This is what I did this for months, first couple months of each cycling season. I was only a cyclist. I was riding 20 to 30 plus hours a week. So think of the amount of time that I spent doing this type of work to prepare the body for the harder stuff to come. We're just trying to nail these Tuesday and Thursday sessions. If we get in these 2 sessions a week, even if you miss one and it goes in another day, this is going to lay that foundation of technical ability mixed with strength that's going to carry us into all the hard efforts. When I see you all go through this process and we go through these next couple of months, that's what gives me and Jim the confidence to layer on some new pushes for 2024. But we have to go through this. We have to nail these workouts in order to get there. Okay, 3 seconds. Bring that cadence up, 100 plus RPM. Nice work. 1, push up to this high cadence one more time. We are going to finish with a high cadence drill, so I don't want to lie to you and say it's the very last time, but 40 more seconds here. Keep it high till the end and then some recovery. Nice work. Just a few more seconds here. Nice and smooth to the end. Stable upper body. Same cues as the low cadence. 3, 2, 1. Nice work. Good job. Proper recovery now for a minute and a half. And then, just because Doug enjoys it so much, we have one final 3-minute high cadence drill to finish this off. I would say, Doug, that I was just calling an audible and putting it in there for you, but you know I can't do that because it's programmed into Zwift. So this was here before, but now that I know how much you love it, I'll just keep throwing it in there. But this mix of cadences, again, that's what we can get the most out of this year, or this time of the season, this time of the year. It's one thing to just pedal at 70% for an hour. It's another to incorporate all these varying cadence demands. Rhythm changes is the easiest way to think of. Yeah, Michael, you can do these all day because they're at 70%. You were cruising. But these efforts, you know, they hit that twofold aspect. You don't have 25 or 30 hours a week to train. So we don't just say, okay, here's endless hours in zone 2. And we're not jumping straight to 85% effort. For me, gives me confidence when I see you guys show up week after week. There's a progression we didn't get to do last year that we will get to do this year because we have the time. Starts easy, it'll end up hard. I'll tell you more about it in a minute. More importantly, in 5 seconds, bring that cadence up to 100 plus RPM for one final 3-minute block. One last bit of high cadence. It says 105. If you can get there, great. But 100 plus RPM for 3 straight minutes to finish off this workout. Power is a tiny bit higher than it was. It's up at about 65%. So just nice zone 2 effort. Sometimes put on a tiny bit more power for the 3 minutes because it sounds counterintuitive, but I've seen athletes struggle to maintain that high cadence. If you say, hey, 50% effort, people, sometimes it's almost like not enough load to kind of execute proper form, right? You think about it in a running sense. If there is a point for all of us where we run almost too slow, where there might be a good training benefit to that, but form-wise, we deteriorate a little bit. So finish us off strong, another couple minutes at higher cadence. Just aiming for 100 plus RPM. But each week we're going to layer on. It's going to be strength focused. It's going to be cadence focused for a little bit here. But I mentioned last year, started building these workouts in January, or came on kind of coaching workouts in January. And I said to Jim, oh, I wish, my only regret is that we didn't get to go through this one progression that I think for triathletes specifically, it's incredibly valuable. But it literally will take maybe 8+ weeks to get to the final iteration of it. And we're not going to just harp on the same thing every week, but I think you'll enjoy it. When you see the first kind of iteration of it, I might be with you guys next Tuesday, I think, due to Jim's schedule. So we might do it there, but you might think, oh, this is really easy. But I promise you, with all this work, there is a limit to the power we do on our little 3 to 4 minute hyper kind of extreme low cadence work. But this is in its full iteration, it's called the hour of power. It's exactly what it sounds like. I trim it down a little bit, the progression I have in mind for all of you, because we only have 60 minutes total. So it's probably going to be like 40 minutes of power generally. But at the end of it, the goal is to build to, in this case, 40 minutes straight of a zone 3 effort where you think, okay, well, that's doable. That's just half Ironman. But the cadence range is 60 to 70. And if you can build towards executing this proper 85 to 90% effort at this cadence range, the strength foundation that you'll have is going to be huge. And it's not about muscling through it and trying to do it tomorrow. But if we go through this whole thing and I watch all of you do 40 to 45 minutes, as I have in mind, it's going to be a really, really positive thing for next season. So a few more seconds and you're done. 2-minute cool down, nice and easy. Welcome to the technical phase where the cadence changes, are the demand, where the power is going to be a little bit lower. Don't worry, we will have zone 3 work, we will have all of that, but it's just exactly like Michael Mallow just put on there. It is about trust. It's about this process. And you know, we'd hit a point in the year where for most, this is a natural transition period, but we cannot endlessly hammer threshold intervals, because ultimately our threshold, yes, we have to do, I'll describe it like this. The first time we do threshold intervals, they're not going to feel great. First time we do VO2 work kind of in the coming months, it's not going to feel great, but you do it for 2-3 weeks and it comes back really, really quickly. That side of training tends to just come back. It's not, and we will have bits of intensity through the winter, but this type of stuff, the strength, is something that we can't just spend 3 weeks on and say, okay, like you're ready for a half or you're ready for a full Ironman. Takes a lot of time, takes a lot of commitment. I know you both always, or all of you, always put in the time and commitment. And thank you for the trust in the process. I appreciate it. Yeah, and the suck in this case is just the cadence. So you're going to get a little break. You know, I want you to carry that extra energy into the presence you bring to the pool, carry it into the technical phase of swimming so you can improve more there because you're not carrying as much fatigue from the bike. One important thing, please eat after this workout. Consider that you just went to the gym, whatever your choice of, whether you're plant-based, you eat meat, whatever, protein, recovery shake, make sure you get that in after this. That's really, really crucial to just help you get the most out of this training and make sure that the muscles don't get too sore. Give us feedback on how the muscles are feeling the next day or two, but more of this to come. I will see you guys next week. Have an awesome weekend of training, and thank you for embracing this part of the year.